Everyone, so let's talk about systems. Now, what are systems? So, systems are basically processes, journeys. And when I say systems, I'm not talking about any technical thing, but I'm talking about a system that takes you from point A to point B. Okay, so let's say you have a goal. Let's say you are a beginner and you want to run a half marathon. Okay, so your point A is you being a beginner at this stage, and your point B is half marathon. And then you need to see when you have to run. Let's say there is a marathon event happening in next 2 months. So let's say you have 2 months to reach from point A to point B. So what do? You basically come up with plans, you do some study around running, and then you formulate a plan for yourself that okay, this is how I am going to prepare myself for a half marathon, and you consistently show up for that. Let's say you come up with a plan wherein you are like, okay, I'm going to run every day, and then it's going well, but you realize that okay, you are getting sore legs now. So you change the plan, and now you're like, I'm going to run alternate days and I'm going to do a long run in the weekend. Okay, now that long run can be anything. Okay, it can be literally running 6 kilometers or 7 or 8, depending on how well you are accustomed to running, because since you are a beginner. But anyway, let's not get into that core of the topic. All right, so eventually what happened here, there was a point A, there was a point B. You being a beginner to you running half marathon. Duration is 2 months. System 1 says that you have to run every day. So you ran every day. Now you saw that okay, running every day is not really helping. So you came up with a version 2 of the system, which was I'll be running alternate days. And then you saw that it is working. And then you added a long run as well. That became a version 3. And then you might do something else, that you might then you might change your diet as well, you might add something else, and depending on that, a system goes through various iterations of changes and updates. Okay, I gave an example. Now when it comes to real life, talking about real life, then how does system work? Let's say you have a goal. The goal is to get into some institution, get admitted to a program in an institution. So how do you do that? Well, you start researching about that system, you start researching about that program, you study more about it, you understand what it is, what it takes to be there, and then you start to understand that what is the institution looking for, what is the right candidate like, and then you start analyzing yourself. You also see what are the application dates, then you make an application, you send out various documents that are required. Maybe the institution also requires you to take up some exam or some test, and you prepare for that, you give that test, you get this course, you submit that. All of these things rather that you are doing to go from where you are to getting admitted to that institution, all these things that you do in between are literally systems, are literally processes. Basically you're doing a lot of things just so that you can get admitted to that university or institution. And when I say that systems keep on changing, then that literally means that based on circumstance you keep changing the ways in which you do things. It might happen that every morning you get up and you start preparing. Maybe you prepare for interviews, you prepare for this, prepare for that, and then you realize that okay, mornings are not working for me. Like, yeah, I am able to prepare, but for some reason I feel evenings are better. So now you start preparing in the evening and you do something else in the morning. So whatever that you do is literally part of the updates that you do to your system, updates that you do to the process that takes you from where you are to getting admitted into that institution. So that's literally that. Okay, I talked about two examples now, but if I have to really talk in terms of systems and how do they work and how to ensure that they work, then there is very basic rule for a system to work. Like, basic simple rule is that you need to know where you want to go. Okay, you need to know where you want to go. You can't have a goal that is haywire, that okay, this works, that also works. Oh, I am not getting this, okay, then this also works. Like, you can't be in a position where you are not expecting, you are accepting everything. Because when you are accepting everything, then your the whole plans are very cluttered. You're trying to fix yourself into various kinds of identities, various kinds of roles that are there, which is not making sense to yourself as well. Because at this point right now, you are, let's say, a technical writer, but tomorrow you want to get into the role of a business analyst, and you are like, okay, I'm not getting that role, I'll get into a role of consultant. And then you're not getting that role, okay, I'm okay with this role, I'm okay with that. This I told in terms of various job roles, but that's what it is. You need to really know what you want, where you want to go. You need to know the destination so that you can pan out your route, you can pan out your journey, you can start your journey to that destination. And from that destination, you move to another, and from that another to another. That's how it is. So, for a system to work, you really need to know where you want to go. You need to know what your destination is, because if you don't know that, you are going to be lost. Because you will be okay with everything, you will be okay with absolutely whatever that is served to you, whatever that is given to you. Which is why a very strong emphasis was given on the part where I said that you need to know where you have to go, where you want to go. Only then you will be able to come up with a system. Only then you will be able to understand what a person does when they have to reach certain destination. If a person wants to reach from Mumbai to Delhi, then they know that okay, this is the train that I have to take, or this is the flight that I have to take. But for a person who is like, I can go anywhere, they might be confused for a very long period that where do I go? Like, I can go anywhere, but where do I go? That's a different kind of freedom when you get to choose wherever you can go. But you eventually have to still choose where you have to go so that you can start your journey. You can't just be sitting and saying that, yeah, I can go anywhere. Sure, you can go anywhere, but you still have to choose a destination for that system to work, for that system to at least begin. So if you say that, okay, I am at Mumbai, I am going to go to London. So now you know your destination is London. So that's how you decide that, okay, I'm going to book this flight, I'm going to book that accommodation, and so on. Right? So unless you know where you have to go, how can you start your journey? So when I say, how do systems work? For a system to really work effectively, you need to define what your goal is. And from where you are to where your goal is, whatever happens in between, that is what a system is. And no one system can take you from your current position to your goal. That system keeps evolving. You have to keep on observing if this is working or not, if that is working or not. You have to keep on observing, are you attending the system well or not? Like, let's say, as I said earlier, there was an example about joining an institution. So a system might say, like the process might say that from where you are to getting admitted into that institution, you have to do certain tasks, that get this resume done, get that statement of purpose done, apply to this role, or this or that, whatever that is. Okay, for all of that thing, all of those things to happen, you need to at least know where you have to go. So there was an example about joining an institution. So what exactly does it mean when I say, are you attending the system well or not? That means whatever the system requires you to do, which is basically making a resume, giving a statement of purpose, supplying all the necessary documents that the institution has asked, all of those things that you do from your part, it's literally attending well to the system, attending well to the process, looking at the process, doing what is needed. So you also need to ask and assess if you are doing that well, because if you are, then eventually your chances, your probability to reach there increase. And if you see that, okay, my probability is falling down, that's when you make an update to the system. And that's literally how it is. I might have overcomplicated things, or maybe I have literally broken down things, but that's eventually what it is. That's ultimately that. So for a system to work, if I have to summarize, you need to know what your point B is, you need to know what your destination is, you need to know what your goal is. And once you know what your goal is, so you know what your point B is. So point A to point B, and now whatever that happens in between is the system. That's going to evolve, that's going to change. And for it to really work, you also have to keep on attending to it, observing it, being a part of it, being actively involved with it, rather than passively expecting that, okay, this system is going to work. It will, but you have to be an active participant of it. And that's what systems are. And that's that.